So I wanted to give you guys the latest update of my IVF journey, and I was waiting for the results of the genetic testing, which that takes 2 weeks. So the 2 week mark has come, and I got a phone call from Alexa. She's one of the registered nurse in Dr. Kendall's team, and when she called me, I was, hoping for the best, you know, anticipating of good news of the results. And when she called and I picked up the phone, she said, can I speak to Cheryl? Blah blah blah. I said, this is she. And then when she said, unfortunately, I'm like, huh? All I just saw red. You know what I mean? I just saw red. I'm like, and on top of that, it was very loud in the background. Like there were people talking and chattering, and I could not hear what she was saying. And I even told her, it's very loud in the background, and I can't hear you. You would think in a professional setting that you would go to a conference or to an office to relay the news to a patient about the results of the genetic testing, the PGT-A results. No, she didn't. The only thing that I can remember on what she said was the results turned out to be abnormal. Okay, so what does that mean? Like there was something wrong with my chromosome. There was something wrong with my husband's chromosome. What was the number? What was the marking? What was something? And then she didn't say none of that. She didn't even go over the results or anything. And maybe because she's a nurse and she's waiting for Dr. Kendall to go over the results, you would think that she would say that. She didn't say anything. Then I asked her when she delivered the devastating news to me, I asked her, well, what is the next step? Oh, you can make an appointment to see Dr. Kendall. I'm like, yeah, because obviously you're not telling me anything. I didn't say that to her because I was already devastated and pissed off as it is because she didn't, over the phone, there was no compassion. There was no empathy. There was nothing. It was just so cold over the phone. And it's not the first time she done this, you know what I mean? That I felt that she was very cold and very standoffish over the phone. But I said, you know what? Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just her hormones. Maybe it's just, me just thinking too much. I let that go. When I met her in person, I got the same feeling too. I'm like, maybe it's just in my head. And then today I'm like, no, this is just ridiculous. So I told her, yes, I would love to make an appointment to see Dr. Kendall. And I'm like, can I speak? First of all, I asked her, can I speak to her? Oh, unfortunately, she's out of the office the rest of the week. I'm like, okay. Well, I need to speak to her and I need to see her. So she made me an appointment to see Dr. Kendall June 30th. I'm like saying, well, this is just too far away. I'm like, whatever. I was just so upset and still trying to process the news that she gave me that I'm like, this is not real. This is not happening. No, you're looking at the wrong results. That's what I said in my head. You got it wrong. Maybe it's someone else. It's not me. And then she made the appointment, and after that, she said, that's it. And I'm like, okay. So I'm crying, hysterical, and trying to process everything. So there's no embryo. The genetic testing result came out at normal. I print out the report. I'm trying to read and make sense of the results. I have no idea what the hell I'm reading, what the hell anything means. And you would think, as a nurse, a registered nurse would explain something to me. I know she can't explain everything because she's not the doctor, but still. But again, there was a lack of compassion, a lack of empathy. So I got myself together because I just know myself and I know my tongue, and I didn't want to say anything nasty towards Alexa because I know I will regret it and I know that God would be upset with me, and then I had to go and apologize and repent and all that, and I didn't want to do that. So I control my emotion even though I was so upset and devastated. I controlled all that. I called back the office. I explained to the receptionist how I felt and what happened over the phone, that transparent with me and Alexa, and I was devastated. I started tearing up. I started crying, and I said, I didn't feel any compassion towards Alexa. I didn't feel any empathy. She was just very short with me. It was loud in the background. I could barely hear her when she was telling me the results. She didn't go over the results, and nothing makes sense to me. And can I speak to someone? And I even said, moving forward, if I get the opportunity to do the IVF again, as per Dr. Kendall, if she's okay with it, which is it should be my decision. But again, if she's okay with me doing it again, I don't want to deal with her anymore. The nurse. I do not want to deal with Alexa because I don't want to deal with someone that doesn't have that has that lack of compassion, that lack of empathy, and doesn't care for the patient. I don't want that. You know what I mean? You sign yourself up to become a nurse, to to treat the patient the best as you can, the best of your abilities. I know that you're not going to be perfect. Everyone falls short, but my goodness, it's like there was nothing. It was just very cold and standoffish. And I'm like, I don't want to deal with someone like that. I don't want to deal with a nurse like that, especially when you deliver a devastating news to me or to any patient. No one don't want to hear that. They want to hear some compassion. I'm sorry, da da da. If you need anything, none of that. She didn't say that. Megan, the manager that I spoke to, she was more compassionate. She was more empathetic. She had more empathy. Said, I am sorry. If you need to talk to anyone, you can call me. If you want to vent, blah 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 blah. I'm like, okay. It seemed like she cares, Megan. This woman, the nurse, nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I'm like, okay, okay. So after receiving that news, I was trying to process everything. I was like, how can this happen? Why did this happen? Everyone was rooting for my husband and I. Everyone had been praying, fasting, and got this result. I'm like, I just don't understand this, And I started to question myself, like, I wish I would have got pregnant earlier, meaning earlier when I was younger, like in my 20s or in my 30s. If I would have done that, maybe I would have had a child by now. Maybe if I went to go see a doctor sooner, meaning to check my uterus to make sure I don't have any fibroids, go see a specialist, anything that sort. And then I'm like, God was like saying, could have, should have, would have. You can't go back, Cheryl. That's what God was telling me. You can't go back. You can't go back and wish that you could have done this differently. You could have done that differently. What's the point? What's the point of going through that? You're here now. You got the results now. What are you going to do moving forward? And he's right. But at the same time, at the same token, I was thinking about that. You know what I mean? And I told myself, why did I wait it? Why did I wait it? I should have got pregnant sooner. But then on top of that, at that time, at the stage of my life, at that time, I was not ready mentally or physically to welcome a child on this earth. I was not married. I was like, I was in a relationship, but I didn't know how. It was very rocky. I didn't know if this person was going to be the right partner to raise a child with. I don't know if this person is going to stick around. I didn't want to become a single mother and then my child have a in and out relationship with their father. I didn't want to subject my child to that. That's part of the reason why I waited. And two, just to make sure mentally and physically that I would be capable of raising a child, because it takes a village to raise a child. Whether you have one, two, three, four, five, it takes a village. It's hard. It's hard work. It's sacrifice, but at the same token, it's rewarding because you get to welcome your child to this world and watch him or her grow and have all this personality and see the person that they're going to become in adulthood. And I wanted to make sure that I was ready for that. I didn't want to be one of those moms that just have a kid and then just abandon their kid or just do the bare minimum and not be present and not be around. I didn't want that. So that's why I waited for this long, because of that reason, and also to make sure that I had the right partner that I know that's going to stick around, a partner that's Christ-like, that's going to be there for our child and have a father figure. That's what I wanted. I didn't want my child to suffer because of my bad choices, because of my mistake. That's the part of the reason why I waited too. And I just feel like now, because I waited to make sure that I was mentally and physically able and capable of raising a child, now it's biting me in the ass because I waited so long. I'm 45 and I don't have enough eggs. Um, the genetic testing didn't turn out the way I wanted to turn out. And it's like, and then I started to question myself all over again. And then God just reminded me, you can't do that, Cheryl. You can't. You got the bad news. Um, the result is not what you hoped for. It sure wasn't. It wasn't. I cried and cried like a baby today at work, and I had to pull myself together because I didn't want anyone to see my emotions and what I'm going through. So I did pull myself together, but there's times I started to cry again and looking at the results and just having all these emotions to the point that I had to leave because I just needed to get it out there, meaning be by myself and vent and cry a little bit more, and just I just don't understand. I really don't understand. And there's a reason for everything. And I hope and pray when I do see Dr. Kendall that I want to tell her, because I know what she said in the report, that this IVF cycle that I just did, I get one round of it. And after that, that's it. I want to tell her I want to try again. Don't, don't deny me for me to become a mom. And I know that's kind of messed up to say that to her, but I just want to be honest and transparent with her. I know what she's going to say with my age and the science. At the end of the day, God is my science. At the end of the day, it's God's will. And all I want to do is just give everything that I got, everything that I can, just to try one last time with the IVF. And God forbid it doesn't work, then my husband and I can figure out the next step. But I just don't want Dr. Kendall to say, well, you're 3%, and, because of your age and stuff like that, you're high risk. I understand that. I know the risks, but I know God as well. And I know my God can make anything possible. Now that my husband and I know the whole process of the IVF, what to expect, what not to expect, what to do, we're more equipped to it now, opposed to the first time around. We were just new at this. We didn't know. I barely did my research on it because I was more focused on the IUI opposed to the IVF, because money wise, because of the hormone injections and stuff like that, how I'm going to react to it, how my body's going to react to it, per se. So now that we got a handle of the IVF and we know what to expect, that the second time around, we're more prepared. We're more up for the challenge for it. And I just hope and pray that Dr. Kendall can hear me as a patient and let me try another round of this and see where it goes. And God forbid, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Until then, I still have my consult appointment with one of my doctors to do their ultrasound to see how the fibroids are on my right fallopian tubes, and get that removed. And hopefully get that removed. I heal. And you never know. My husband and I, we go to try naturally, and we might get pregnant on our own, that we may not rely on the IVF. Either way, you know what I mean? So there's going to be options, but I just don't want any options to be taken away from me, because God knows my desire to become a mom so bad. And that's what I want. I want to become a mom. And I don't want any opportunity or anything to be taken away from me because of the science, because of my age. I understand that. At the same token, God can do anything. Anything is possible through him. And I know that he knows my desire. He's not going to take that away from me. And I don't want that to be taken away from me. So, like I said, I hope and pray that Dr. Kendall will give me that opportunity to try one more time. I called my insurance. It's unlimited for me to do the IVF trial cycle round or whatever. So I just hope and pray that Dr. Kendall give me the green light, and then she just lets me do it one last try and see what happens next. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I really appreciate each and one of you praying for us, rooting for us. This was a very devastating news for me and for my husband. I'm all cried out. I can't cry anymore, but it's good for me to let it out. It's good to talk about it. And if you guys are going through it this as well, it's good to talk about it. Don't shut anyone out, your loved ones. Don't depress your feelings. Talk about it. Do a recording. Write a journal. I write a journal how I'm feeling, and talk about it. Tell a friend. Tell anyone that's willing to listen and to hear you. Because it's not healthy to bottle everything up inside and then just not talk about your feelings and what you're going through, because your feelings do matter. Everyone's feelings matter. And just to let you guys know, it's not your fault either. You've done nothing wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. It's just, they only retrieved 2 eggs. If they would have retrieved more, maybe it's a possibility that one, the results would have been good than the other. I'm not sure. I don't know. But hopefully the second time around, if I get that opportunity to do that, then they will retrieve more eggs out of me, and then we're just going to hope for the best. God is in control of all of this, and that I'm holding on to that. I have to hold on to that. I have to believe that everything is going to work itself out, even though I got the devastating news today. But everything is going to work itself out according to God's plan, and we just go from there, and then take one day at a time. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys and give you guys the latest updates. And thank you so much for watching. That's it. And I really appreciate and love you all. Take care.